And I can keep feeding your mind stupidity of a degenerate culture, keeping your head in your crotch or in somebody else's. Then you will always be a substandard, inferior being, not even human yet. There's only one race, it's the human race. Shut up. Shut up. You talk as the foolish. You're not yet human. To be human is to master what comes from the earth. Humus, huh? Your body is from the earth, but you're not mastering it. It is mastering you. And the very spirit is dead and buried under the flesh and fleshly desires and fleshly pursuits. How dare you bring people to college and tell them that the only way you get a good job is through an education, so you make a job the aim of education, when cultivation of what God has put within, so that you can be what the scripture says you are, not a glory, but the glory of God. You can never be that until that which God has put within has been cultivated through a process that is called education, that you may glorify your Creator, because every one of you is a giant. You didn't hear me. I have never met a human being that I have not met in that human being my superior. I'm going to say it again. I have never met a human being, I don't care what their color is, where they come from. If they're in the deep jungles of the Amazon, in South America, or in Africa, I have never met a human that I didn't find my superior in that human, whether that human being knows that he's superior to me in some respect. I know it. And the sad thing about this world and its pseudo-education is that it is not cultivating what is in the so-called human being, that we can truly become human and reflections of the divine. When I meet you, you will always see me bowing. Could be a child, but I'm looking at that child and I see God. I don't have to die and go someplace to see God. The Bible says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. I know you're not supposed to add to the word of God, but I took that liberty. Maybe I do. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God everywhere they look. When I see a female, I don't see biology. I see God in a feminine form, and I bow. When I see man, I see God in a masculine form, and I bow. How could the Genesis of the Bible say that God created man and woman in his own image and after his own likeness if there's no divine spark within you? My Muslim family, you need education too, because you don't think that man is divine. But that which is of divine is that which is created by the divine. We are in a divine creation, and we are a part of that divine creation and the spark of divinity. The human is the successor of God. Well, how could you succeed God? How could you be in the image and likeness of God if you don't have the capacity to reflect him? Think with me. Think. There's this argument raging in the world about women and the respect for women and the place of women. And all religions, to me, have faltered where women are concerned. And as long as women are not respected, as long as women are not protected, as long as women are not elevated in our thinking, we as men and our future can never be elevated. For where there is no decent woman, there are no decent men. For the woman is the mother of civilization. So how can a woman mother civilization if you deprive her of knowledge? In the Jewish story of Yentl, that Barbara Streisand played a major part, she wanted to study the Torah and rabbinical knowledge. But being a woman, she was denied. So she dressed like a man, which is against the Torah law. You dress like a man, the law says kill them. Read the book. But she dressed as a man because she wanted the knowledge of God and the knowledge of Scripture. In some Muslim countries, the woman can't attend the mosque. No, this is for men. Y'all stay home. What kind of home is that? If the woman can't feed on the knowledge of God, what will she feed your children, fool? If you don't have an educated woman, you don't have an educated people, because the woman is the teacher. You've got countries on this planet that deny women education. Muslim countries. You've got countries on this planet that when they see a vagina, they say, oh God, I got a female, kill it. Because naturally a man is always looking for his own image. I guess that's why they call you Miss. Because they missed the man that they were looking for, and you came. So hello, Miss. This whole world of knowledge is finished. Say it again. This whole world of knowledge is finished. The scripture says, I thank thee, Father in heaven, for keeping these things from the wise and the prudent man and revealing them unto babes, because there's been hidden wisdom hidden from the rulers of this world. So this world has gone as far as it can go. And so education now, which is the torchlight of civilization, is saying that this civilization is on its way out. How can America lead the world when she is so far down among developed nations in education? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, my teacher, told me that he who is proficient in mathematics and science and engineering are the builders of civilization. All other disciplines are embellishments of science and mathematics. Well, I'm a historian. That's excellent. But when you're a historian, you document the affairs of humans as they interact and seek the bounty of their Lord from his creation. And this is called history. Man's interaction with his environment, man's interaction with man, man's interaction with oceans, mountains, rivers, man's interaction with impediments that he overcomes, he makes history. But it is science that causes him to overcome. It is mathematics that causes him to think intelligently. What do you mean, Farrakhan? You know, it's December the 24th. And a big fat Caucasian is coming down our chimney, and he's going to give our children nice little toys, and if you've been bad, he's going to put some coal in your stockings. So you better be good. You better not pout. You better not shout. 'Cause the big fat man is coming to town. Then you believe your mother. That's just a little white lie, but what the hell? It ain't killing nobody. But it is. Because when a mother will lie to her child, calling it fun, it has an effect on the child when the child learns the truth. And the truth is mathematics. How can this big fat man come down? We ain't even got a chimney. And how the hell can reindeer ride on nothing? See, mathematics, Ma, well, child. See, this is what's happening in religion. Mathematics is crippling crazy theology. Yes, child, you better be good now, because when you die, you go into heaven. And where is that, Mama? It's yes, there it is. But Mama, the earth is round and turning. So what's up today is down tonight. Now we got telescopes, Mama. They've spied stars that are millions of light years away. Meaning light traveling at the speed of 186,000 miles per second. It would take millions of years for that light to touch the earth. But we can see that star, but haven't spied heaven yet. Think. Think. Well, if you're bad, you're going to hell. And where's that, Mama? It's in the ground, baby. And you'll be down there burning forever. Because there's a fire down there 11 times hotter than the sun. Well, my God. The sun is 14,172 degrees hot, 93 million miles from the earth, and I can feel it on a hot summer day. We can fry an egg on the sidewalk, and you mean hell is in the earth, and the earth is only 7,926 miles in diameter, and if it's the center, it's the radius of the earth, and I can't feel that heat on my feet. Somebody lying to me. So either you got to adjust your lie when your child figures out that Christmas ain't where it's at. But how will you adjust when they question heaven that you have built for others on the earth while we live in a veritable hell. Could you burn any worse than you're burning now? Could you suffer any worse than you're suffering now? When you go to refrigerate and open it, ain't nothing there. When you can't pay your rent, you can't pay your light bill, and the man cuts your light off, cuts your gas off. It's the middle of winter, you're freezing, your children are freezing. Icicles coming out your nose. What hell is worse than the hell of poverty and want and disease? What hell is worse than growing up in a house where there's no love? What hell is worse when God made a woman for a man and a man for a woman, but all our homes, 75% of them, led by a woman? A man made a baby, but a man is not there. What is a greater hell than to discover at 19 years of age a lump in your breast and you fighting cancer? You don't know why you're sick. You don't know why you're dying. You see your young men and women in gangs with guns and drugs, making the inner cities uninhabitable places, where we're running out of the city to try and find refuge somewhere in the suburbs, and the whites are coming back in the cities now. As you run out, they come in. And if you're not running out fast enough, they'll help you out. What they call gentrification. But that wasn't supposed to be my talk this morning. But I had to lay that base to say what I'm about to say. You're dying right now from a number of diseases, and you don't understand what's happening to you as a person. Africa is under a pandemic of AIDS. AIDS is crippling the black community, and black women are the #1 carriers, they say, of the virus. In the Holy Quran, which is the book of scripture of the Muslims, in the 113th chapter, it reads, "In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, say," it's telling Muhammad what to say. That's interesting, because in the Bible it says when that one comes, it says, that which he hears is what he shall speak, and that which he's commanded to do, that shall he do. And the Quran says to Muhammad, say, I seek refuge in the Lord of the dawn. Because evidently we're going through a dark period, and we seek refuge in that one who can bring light out of darkness. I seek refuge in the Lord of the dawn from the mischief of created things. Satan is so wise today, he can take something that God created and make mischief with it. Listen to me. You have a need for water, because water is the source of life. A black female doctor wrote, water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Used to be a time you could go to your faucet and drink water. Now you have to buy a bottle where they've purified it in some way and sell you water. Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. And since my body is 3/4 water, I need water in order to sustain my life. So he who can control the water and what is in the water controls my life. Isn't that interesting? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the enemy would come at us in the water. Excuse me for my passion. See, this is why they don't want you to listen to me. This is why they tell you I'm a hate teacher. This is why they tell you I'm anti-white, anti-American, anti-this, anti-Semitic, anti-this, anti-that. What I'm anti is falsehood. What I'm anti is oppression, tyranny, and injustice. And if you were wise, you'd be anti that too. But you can't be against falsehood until you know the truth. And that's why Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Back to the water. You drink the water. Something is in the water that's affecting human life now. I was coming out of Mexico one day, and I happened to pick up an English language Mexican newspaper, and they were talking about alligators and the estrogen, the female hormone that was in the water of the Everglades. And the male alligator's penis was getting smaller and smaller, and the birth count or the sperm count getting less and less. Isn't that something? How's your sperm count? I ain't asking about the size of things. I don't want to get personal. But that's shrinking too. Hey, but wait a minute. You say, well, that's the men. They got you. See? Every woman who has a cycle should cleanse herself after the cycle. What do you cleanse yourself with? See, there's something called white vinegar and water. That's the best thing to cleanse yourself with. But today, they make little douches for you that fill with nice smelling stuff. But when you use it, it begins to weaken the walls of your uterus. That's why even when you try to have a baby, you can't. And then the birth control pill and the birth control methodology. Yes, you want to have sex, but you don't want no children. So let's play, baby. Let's have fun. But, you must be safe with your sex. So get you a condom, as though that's safe. What is the condom laced with? Since you don't make them. What the hell do you know about it? I'm going to get deep in a minute. Deeper in a minute. Let's practice safe sex. Let's turn on the radio first. Let's hear some music. What? Shake your booty. Shake your booty. Shake your booty, shake your booty. You just a little baby, but you shake it. Why is your backside called booty? God damn. Oh. Why is your favorite phrase, this is my dog? Yo, dog. What's up, dog? Dog spelled backward is God. And God turned backward is a dog. Yo, dog. I love the booty. Bootylicious. That's what it is. Turn on your radio. What do you hear? Sex. All of it is about different ways of having sex. Either you're killing somebody, you're smoking somebody, and F this and MF that. And see, this is what you're being fed. It's not only what you're fed in here that kills you. It's what you're fed here. Safe sex. Let's practice that. See? Sex is as natural as drinking water or breathing air. So somebody's going to make mischief with a created thing. See, God created sex. It's not a bad thing, but it can be made real ugly. See? What did God create sex for? They got a song, birds do it, bees do it. Right? Everybody do it. Everybody do it. The Holy Quran says that Allah created everything in pairs because it's only through the pair that life is reproduced, from the grass all the way to the human being. And Allah says he created creation and he reproduces it. You can't live forever. Nothing does. So the only way you live is through the business of reproduction, creativity. You see? Creativity. Makes sense? So sex, God made for reproduction. Along the way, there's pleasure. Well, there should be pleasure that will bring us to pain. The woman receives with pleasure. Thank you, dear. 9 months later, pain. Lord, what I bother with that man for? I hate him, I hate him. Some of you cuss the man out while you're going through labor because that thing is rough. Pleasure, pain, joy with birth, pain with the responsibility of rearing a new life. See? God's way is so beautiful, but now, since your sexual appetite is being titillated by what you see, what you hear, the music, the dance, everything is funk, everything is shaking. There was a time when we danced, it had style to it. Today it's shaking. Then what the hell is this? So, I mean, a man looking at a fine-looking woman, turning her back to him and just shaking. How in the hell he gonna stay sane? So we just crazy today. You a fool for driving us like that. Because what they see is what they get. And you getting a man that love you for your breasts and your butt, after a while that sags. Gravity will get the breasts and gravity will drag the butt down. And after a while, you see him looking for something else because you attracted him on a foolish purpose, a foolish thing that is fleeting. But when he's attracted to the brilliance and the beauty of the female here and the female here, then there's some permanence in that kind of relationship.
Every Thursday night the vibe is set. Brother Leo and Sister Claudia, you won't forget. They're bringing truth, they're bringing light. spark your mind tonight. The Image a Nation show. Oh, every Thursday let it flow. Oh, Brother Leo, Sister Claudia, in the glow. It's the place to be. You already know. They talk that talk, they walk the walk. Breaking it down, no need for small talk. Wisdom flying like the eagle's soar. You'll leave with more than you came here for. Open your heart, let your mind expand. Feel the rhythm, take a stand. The Image a Nation show. Oh, every Thursday let it flow. Oh, Brother Leo, Sister Claudia, in the glow. It's the place to be. You already know. Open your heart, let your mind expand. Feel the rhythm, take a stand. The Image a Nation show. Oh, every Thursday let it flow. Oh, Brother Leo, Sister Claudia, in the glow. It's the place to be. You already know. Soulful voices on the air, breaking barriers everywhere. Turn it up, don't let it fade. Thursday nights are tailor-made. Soulful voices on the air, breaking barriers everywhere. Turn it up, don't let it fade. Thursday nights are tailor-made.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. I greet you, my dear beloved brothers and sisters in the Image a Nation family, in the greeting words of peace. We say it in Arabic, Assalamu alaikum.
Salam, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Welcome, 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 dear beloved family, to another episode of the Image a Nation show. My name is Brother Leo Muhammad, and sitting alongside me is my beloved wife and friend, Sister Claudia Muhammad.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, beloved.
And welcome to another edition of the Image a Nation show. And just to say once again, our condolences to the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Farrakhan family, the whole of the nation. You know, that was the janaza. Was a beautiful janaza. Sad, but praise be to Allah. Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad did a fantastic job that day, and the grandchildren, they were absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
And praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah, dear family. You know, we're living in a very, very special time, and there is new life coming onto the planet each and every day. and new opportunities being given to us by our beloved Creator of the heavens and the earth. But at the same time, there is passing, and all of us are on a journey, and all of us ultimately will meet that particular end.
That's right.
And if we are people who are in love with life, in love with God, in love with self and kind, then we are righteous. We're good people. And therefore the scripture says, speak not of those who pass in the way of Allah as dead. You see, we live forever if we fulfill our purpose in life.
That's right.
And our purpose, dear family, is to rejoin, is to meet again with the source of our life in the beginning, to meet with Allah, to meet with God. And so, you know, we're thankful and grateful to Allah for the blessing of life. And once again, family, I don't know what it's like where you are, but I can tell you where we are, it's extremely hot. I can feel the sweat coming on my brow. I was tempted to just literally do away with my jacket today, but you know, Allah knows. But it's very, very hot, and I pray that it's hot where you are. I pray that you are enjoying the many blessings of Allah. And once again, we are blessed to have an opportunity to share with you today. Those of you who've seen the thumbnail or the title of the show today, we are talking about Black ignorance support for Argentina. And as we get into it, you'll see what we're talking about. Because, you know, again, sometimes, family, we can be fooled into supporting that which is absolutely detrimental to ourselves. You know, just observing people just walking around smoking cigarettes. You know, and I know that the vast majority of people who smoke, they don't necessarily know. I used to do it. They don't necessarily know the damage, the harm that we're doing to ourselves. And then if you go back to the beginning of the advertising campaigns, the original advertising campaigns for smoking, they were literally telling the masses of the people that smoking was healthy, that it was actually good. And then when you had companies like Marlboro and people like that who were really trying to promote it as some kind of adventurous, rugged type of thing, and then they had the smooth ones for the females and whatever. So we can be forgiven, dear family, for being ignorant about some of the things that we support and not realize that they're actually detrimental to us and detrimental to our people. You know, so what we try to do on the Imagination show is give a wake-up call. Can you smell smoke? Do you think somebody's burning something else?
It smells like a barbecue.
Yeah, it smells like a barbecue. I can smell it. But yeah, you know, it's the reality is that there are a lot of things that we do that have been designed for us to do, and we don't necessarily appreciate what we do. So, you know, that scripture in the Bible that says, forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. It's a very powerful scripture. And what it does, it gives the ignorant an opportunity to literally be forgiven. Because, like I said, if you're ignorant and you're doing the thing, and you can even think that what you're doing is a good thing. You know, you can be sincere, but you can also be sincerely wrong. And so, you know, that's really what the area that we want to explore today. Did you have something, sister?
I said, excuse my manners. I said, at the janaza, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the strength that he showed, the power of Allah at the end when he spoke. Just absolutely
just pure power, beloved.
Yeah,
pure fire. The minister, you know, the minister may be not 100% in his health. He's 93 years old, but make no mistake about it.
Yes.
When he opens his mouth,
Voice of God.
Yeah, the power, the energy of Almighty God Allah is in that man.
That's right.
He represents the spirit and the voice of Almighty God Allah to the members of the human family. Dear family, let's get into what we want to share with you today.
So Lewis Muhammad says it's 84 degrees and raining in Chicago right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
84.
Yes. And
Wow.
Jerry Dredd says, I think Argentina is Nazi territory.
Yeah, I wonder how many people appreciate that North America, after the Second World War was over, North America took a lot of the Nazi scientists and incorporated them into their space program, into their missile programs. Because, at the end of the day, family, these people, they're very, very much alike. They are family. Whether they call themselves Germans, British, French, American, Australian, makes no difference. This is a group of Europeans who are family. And Argentina was one of the places that many, many of the Nazis went to because it was a safe haven. It was a place that they'd created a space for Europeans to go to, and many, many of the former Nazi killers, wicked demons, settled in that part of the world. We may touch on some of that a little bit later.
And Stephen Brown said, I remember far back in the days, a cigarette called Fatima. They said cigarette smoking was a good social activity. Straight madness. Absolutely.
No, for real. And if some of you are doubtful about what we're saying, go on YouTube, man, and look up some of the very early adverts for cigarette smoking. I mean, it was ridiculous. They were literally claiming health benefits from smoking. This is how wicked the devil is. And he will, and now they're promoting vaping as an alternative, safer alternative to smoke. But I'm telling you, family, already there are research that has been done showing that vaping is actually worse than cigarettes, more addictive. And so, the enemy is just wicked. And I see these people walking down the road with this plume of smoke, the vape coming out of their systems, man. It's like, it's very, very sad. Very sad. Dear family, welcome to episode 242 of the Image and Nation show. Today is Thursday, July 9th, 2026. And as I said before, the title of our show today is Black Ignorant Support of Argentina. We're going to get right into it. We don't intend to be a long time, but we're going to start with this little video clip here. And I want you to try and, watch and listen carefully to what's being said, because even these documentaries, when they make these things, when you really listen carefully to the language sometimes, even though they will tell certain truths within the documentary, the language in and of itself oftentimes is part of the problem. Part of the problem.
The Afro-Argentines are black immigrants from Africa who were enslaved in Argentina in the 18th century. Their large numbers formed a significant part of the Argentina population, but after a few years, their numbers decreased. In 1778, according to a census carried out by the Spanish Council, it was discovered that the Afro-Argentines were about 37% of Argentina's population. Many years later, they dropped to about 15% of the total population, and now Argentina is currently the whitest country in South America. Due to the limited population.
And I mean, what you got to understand about black people, brothers and sisters, is we've said this before. I never coined this phrase. I heard it and I've used it over several years. We literally do not die. We multiply. Okay? And when you hear that we were 37% of the population, and by the way, that figure is way let down from what it really was. Later on, you'll hear that we were 50% of the population. And then all of a sudden, a few years later, we're down to 15%. That's because something was being done to reduce the population. This is what we've got to understand about this talk, this language that has been used, and really sanitized language as well, that doesn't really give you a good idea of what's actually on the discussion here. How was that population reduced? How did that population suddenly and all of a sudden shrink from 37% down to some 15%? You see, these are the things that we want to analyze a little bit today.
In South America. Due to the limited population of the Afros, it's almost impossible to find them in notable careers such as sports, journalism, politics, and many more.
Don't forget now, we're in South America. You hear what he said? It's almost impossible to find Afro-Brazilians, black people in sports. And in particular, today, our focus is going to be on football. See? But just think about it. South American country and their football team in particular, you can't find a black man. That alone should make every hair on the back of your neck stand up when you understand what South America is and the nature of it, of the indigenous people and the black peoples that populate that part of the Western Hemisphere, you see? But, the way, again, the documentary narrator is talking, you can hardly find black people in certain professions as if, this is some natural phenomenon. There was a time when we couldn't be found in particular professions. Remember, not long ago, we dealt with boxing and Jack Johnson and how he had to break into that field in order to become the heavyweight champion of the world. We've mentioned before about golf. We've mentioned about tennis. We've mentioned about the boardroom. You understand what I'm saying? And, high finance. There was times when we weren't allowed into particular arenas, family. And whether it was in North America, whether it was in the Caribbean, whether it was in Europe, whether it was in South America, it was the same system that was operating in order to keep black people out of particular fields, out of the sanctorium of power and influence, so that we as a people would diminish and not grow. So that's how you've got to understand these things, which have been said in such a kind of blasé type of way that, you wouldn't necessarily read into it what was really going on, the displacement, the ethnic cleansing, and I'm saying, without any apology, the genocide. Let's go.
In this video, we are going to be talking about the Afro-Argentines and what led to their reduction and eradication in Argentina. Let's dive right in.
Hear that word? What led to their reduction and eradication? I mean, you go into your dictionary, man, look up eradication. See, that's when you're deliberately now destroying something. And this is what we're talking about here is not destroying something. We're talking about destroying someone. We're talking about destroying people, eradicating, removing people from a particular space. This is what has been done. This is what was being done in Argentina.
Their history. In the 16th century, black people were captured from their homelands in Africa and enslaved with their feet and hands chained. Some were from Cape Verde Islands, while the majority were from ethnic groups speaking Bantu languages, from territories, which comprise Angola, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Republic of Congo. There were a few Yoruba and Iwe.
Again, it's important to appreciate, family. When you hear about Congo today, when you hear about the DRC and the problems there and the ongoing conflicts and wars or whatever, again, do we understand what it means? It's one thing to take gold out of a country or diamonds out of the ground or oil and other commodities and resources. But what happens when you take the people? What happens when you rape a country of its youth, of its young, creative people? You know, it's not an accident that the African continent suffers in the manner in which it does, because it's based on what has been done historically to the continent and the way in which Black people have been ill-affected, not just in terms of the places where we ended up, but in terms of the legacy, that which is left behind in and on the continent, family.
1600s, according to an estimate, 12 million African slaves got to Latin America through slave ships. But while passing through the Atlantic, about 10 to 15% of the captured slaves died, and many more died during the process of enslavement while traveling through the interior part of Africa. There's a record of about 40 deaths for every 100 slaves who successfully...
The way he said, many more died, you know, basically in transit during slavery, as if we just died. There was no real cause. There was no causative. Exactly. It wasn't that we were being murdered, lynched along the way, absolutely tortured and dehumanized to the point where we were dying. Out of every 100, he said 40 died. I mean, and then don't forget, they're talking about the figure that they're talking about here going into Argentina is 12 million. Again, the numbers are much greater than that, but if you consider 12 million, and then out of every 100, 40 millions of human beings being totally decimated and destroyed. But again, the way it's been narrated, you would think the man was talking about, you know, some plants not growing after being planted. It's just important, family, to appreciate, you know, these images of us being thrown overboard. And I don't know, I'm sure some of you are familiar with the fact that according to documented history in that transatlantic crossing, how sharks in the Atlantic Ocean stopped their normal foraging for food, and they just would follow the slave ships because Black people were going overboard in such numbers and you know, to such a degree that the sharks were well fed just following the slave ships, family. You know. And by the way, again, when I listen to these documentaries, the language they calling us slaves, we were enslaved. We are an enslaved people. We're not slaves. They didn't find no slaves in Africa. What they found were human beings, men, women, and children, and then they enslaved those people and then destroyed those people systematically as a human reality in breaking us down in order to make us an enslaved people. I just want us to appreciate that, because again, the way they talk, we are being dehumanized over and over and over again, even in the narration of the documentary.
But while passing through the Atlantic, about 10 to 15% of the captured slaves died, and many more died during the process of enslavement while traveling through the interior part of Africa. There's a record of about 40 deaths for every 100 slaves who successfully reached the New World. Some of these Black men were captured and taken to Buenos Aires, which is the capital of Argentina. Their main commercial activity at the time was trading slaves.
Again, he talks about, you know, the New World. Understand this, family. This so-called New World was places that Europeans had gone to and destroyed the indigenous people, those people that they call Indians, Black people, brown people, who were the people who lived in these places, in these lands, like the Aborigines in Australia and New Zealand and these places. And then the Europeans came. Again, I would encourage you to study Columbus and the Columbus logs, where Columbus, writing in his log, explains how when he arrived in the so-called Caribs, in the Caribbean, how he found paradise and people who use gold as trinkets, but from his perspective, they didn't really appreciate the value, and how that paradise, according to Columbus's own logs, within 6 months, that paradise had become a living hell, where the native people, the indigenous people, were now having their limbs chopped off if they didn't have a sufficient quota of gold to give to these invaders and these newcomers and these wicked demons who were creating a veritable hell on earth. Understand this. This so-called New World was hell, and it was bringing black people from Africa that then began to build these places and turn them into some type of civilized place. You see, Buenos Aires in Argentina didn't exist, but we created it, we made it. Our presence is what now built up these towns and these cities. But again, the way he's talking, you'd think that black people arrived into this magnificent city. No, no, family. They arrived into a veritable hell. You see, hell on earth. And then it was our skills that we brought from the continent that were then employed, be it in culinary skills, cooking, be it in building, creating homes and creating edifices that were magnificent. This is what we did, creating roads, creating infrastructure that these Europeans could then live in luxury whilst they kept us in poverty and enslaved. I mean, I just want us to get the picture, because again, you could be forgiven for thinking when you're listening that, you know, they brought us into this wonderful paradise from, you know, finding us, as they used to say in Africa, swinging through the trees with bones in our noses.
For money. The slaves were forced to work in agriculture, livestock, domestic activities, and crafts.
You can't work in livestock, you can't work in agriculture, you can't do these things in crafts unless you've got skills, unless you know what you're doing. The people that they brought were people who knew agriculture, knew livestock, knew about animal husbandry, and then they were employed in that field. When I say employed, not that they were being paid, because there was no pay. It was free labor. It was labor that was being beaten out of the people, that was being forced, that was being tortured, that was being, you know, forced the people into providing for Europeans what Europeans could not provide for themselves. So you got to understand how we were used during these times, dear family. Domestic workers, people who could keep house, people who could, you know, make again a relative heaven on earth for these demons that had enslaved our people.
In urban areas, most slaves made handicrafts for sale, while the revenues earned went to their masters' pockets. The Buenos Aires neighborhood of San Telmo and Montserrat had a large number of slaves, although most were later sent to the interior provinces. Due to the profit earned from the business, the slave trade industry became prominent, and about 70% of the trading activities in Buenos Aires involved capturing and importing slaves from Africa. Soon, it became a legalized trade in the country.
I mean, imagine, you say about 70%. Let me tell you something. It was the largest industry in the Western world when these Caucasians discovered that they could go across the Atlantic and grab Africans and bring them back into the various places that we were taken to, and that the type of money that could be earned from cotton plantations and tobacco plantations and sugar plantations, and these the things that then were produced from these materials. My God, they, you know, again, when Caucasians discovered gold, what do they call it? They called it a gold rush. You see, and this was the same attitude and the same principle that was employed in going to get slaves, and they were to get enslaved black people, and they were competing with one another. The Spanish were fighting against the British and the French, and they were all vying with one another to see who could outdo the other one in terms of developing these different places that they occupied as colonizers and so-called settlers, you see? And, you know, it was lucrative. This is how their industrial bases were built up from the enslavement of Black and African people.
In 1778, a census conducted by Juan José Salcedo of Vartes showed that there was a large number of blacks in regions where there were a lot of agricultural products. The percentage of blacks was about 50% of the total population, and this number continued to increase.
Did you hear that? The percentage of blacks was 50% of the total population. Earlier on, they said it was 37%. Then they said it went down to 15%. But understand this, family. You know, they never give you a percentage for the white people.
No.
Okay, because white people have always been a very small minority, you see, and they were the invaders. And the difference, because they had guns and because they had superior weapons, because these are warlike people. This is not the nature of the black man. It's not the nature of the black woman. You understand? When these people came to us, they always came stealthily, but they also always came with that wicked warlike mentality. And then they would recruit some of our own people and persuade them to work as tonto, to work as the overseer, the traitor, the house Negro, in order to maintain the slave master in his finery, in his luxurious situation, whilst exploiting and dehumanizing and destroying his own black brother, his own brown brother. So this is how the system worked. It's one of the main principles that they've always employed in our destruction is the principle called, the strategy called divide and rule. And they've always, because they're very clever, you got to understand this, family. This is something that I want us to really understand. They literally have a science called tricknology. Their very nature is to trick and to deceive. This is what they do, and they do this very, very well. Don't ever think as a black man that you can outsmart or out-trick the trickster, because you can't. You just haven't got that kind of guile. You haven't got those wiles, the wiles of Satan. You haven't got that type of mentality. We've picked up some of it from them, and some of us have learned, and some of us now are very deceptive and nasty in our behavior towards other human beings. But I'm telling you, man, you can never compete with or outdo the Caucasian when it comes to tricknology. My God. And this is what he has done. This is what he did then in terms of his small numbers in managing and controlling the masses of the people in these areas.
Because of the continuous importation of slaves.
I hope you're following, dear family. I hope you're listening, because this is what we're dealing with today. I hope I didn't accidentally. Okay. And so, okay, so this is kind of like the area that I wanted us to kind of focus on a little bit today. With the Football World Cup well on the way in North America at the present time, much of the global population is fixated on the unfolding drama of winners and losers being played out daily and nightly on TV screens, and people are passionately in support of one team or another to win what is the ultimate prize in football or soccer, the World Cup. The question we're asking today on the Image and Nation show is, why are so many of us in the global black family so ignorantly in support of the genocidal and racist Argentine country and its racist, all-white South American, and I put there oxymoron because that's what it is. Imagine an all-white South American football team. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I put an image here of some of the Brazilian players, which is South America. This is what you would expect a South American football team to look like. This is the complexion of a South American football team, not an all-white South American football team. It doesn't make any sense. It is an oxymoron, dear family. And where is our dignity and self-respect in not rejecting this obvious abomination of a European and openly racist construct in a region of black, brown, and olive-skinned people? Why don't we reject this? And I'm saying this because whether you appreciate it or not, there are many black people screaming their heads off in support of Argentina in this football World Cup. Can you remember who were they playing the other night? It was Egypt.
Yes.
And I got to tell you the truth, man. I got excited. Egypt was 2-0 up.
Yes.
And then, of course, before you know it, Argentina came back, and I think they won the game 3-2. I didn't watch the game. I just heard reports. But when I heard the report that Egypt was 2-0 up, 2-0 in front, I was so happy. I was so glad. And they came back and won the match, I believe, 3-2. Okay, I don't know why my computer is behaving a little bit slow today, dear family. I hope everybody is good. Don't forget, family, to like, share, and subscribe to the Imagination Show. Also, don't forget to call a family member, a loved one, somebody that you care about. Let them know that the Imagination Show is live right now on YouTube and also on Zoom. Dear family, race, okay? And I want us to understand what I'm about to say. Race is a social construct invented by Caucasians who are also known as white Europeans. And this construct is intended to divide original and indigenous people to perpetually rule us. While race has been adopted and used globally, it actually holds no scientific merit other than to identify those who are in a race towards a specific end. You've got to understand what a race is. A race has a start, a middle section where the race is being run, and an end. And that's what a race is. Black people, we are not a race of people. There is no such thing as a black race. And I hear us all the time talking like that. Oh, the black race. We're not a race, okay? There's no beginning to us, and there's no ending to us. We are the original people of the universe, the original people of the planet Earth. Who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. That's who we are. We're not a race. We are a nation, a global nation. We are a nation without borders, man. See? But this construct of race is something specific to Caucasians and those who have bought into that particular idea. So, however, through the illusion of race, Europeans were able to manipulate blacks and other natives into believing that whites are superior to justify their conquest over all non-white people. Colorism stems from the white European classifications of peoples all around the world who they have meticulously identified by shades of color such as white, black, red, yellow, Latinos, Afro-Latina, African American, Afro-Caribbean, mixed race, half caste, colored, octoroon, quadroon, blanco, negro or negro, trigunio, indio, jabo, merino, mulatta, etc. The above list is just the tip of the iceberg that was all manufactured within the European mind. All of these color classifications come from him. You know, black people now, we suffer from this colorism whereby some of us think we're better than other black people because we're lighter skinned than black people. Some of us say we've got good hair because our hair resembles more European than so-called Negroid. Some of us are you know, proud because our nose is a little bit straighter than the typical black original nose that helps you to breathe more easily. I mean, I love this nose of mine. I love this complexion. I mean, I wasn't able to get in the sun much today, but I can't wait to get back in the sun to get blacker. Because this is special, man. This is what everybody wishes that they could have. But I just want you to appreciate this colorism, these classifications. None of it came from us. We never viewed people on the basis of the color of their skin. We never discriminated against people on the basis of the color of their skin. Some of us, sometimes I wish we did. When that European first landed on our shores, when he eventually broke out of the hills and cave sides of Europe and came into the southern hemisphere, came to where we were on the best part of the planet Earth. And when we saw him, we knew that he was different. We knew that, but he looked like a human being, and so we welcomed him with open arms. But then he came among us, and within 6 months, he turned our world upside down because he is the natural born troublemaker. He's the natural born mischief maker. He cannot help himself. He is the bloodshedder of the planet Earth. All of this, these classifications, comes out of his head, comes out of his mind, dear beloved family. Let's get into this other video here.
In 1813, the slave trade business came to an end, but slavery itself continued until it was abolished in 1853. The Afro-Argentine culture in Argentina has a rich and complex history that dates back to the era of the Atlantic slave trade. While the country has a relatively small Afro-Argentine population today, estimated at around 1 to 2%, their cultural contributions have been significant.
So from over 50%, now we're down to 1 or 2%. I want you to understand what we're talking about here, family. And I want you to appreciate that when you look at North America, that now really classifies itself as a white country with a large population of black people, maybe 50 million of us in North America. But primarily, it's ruled by white people. White Europeans run North America. And the indigenous natives, that which they call the Red Indians or the Indians, they are confined to a few reservations. This is the plan. See, what you're looking at in Argentina is what they want to do in North America, what they want to do in Brazil, what they want to do in other parts of the world, what they want to do ultimately in the Middle East.
On the planet.
You understand? This is the plan.
Yes.
What they've done and what they want to do in Australia, where the original black man, the Aboriginal people are on reservations, are in alcoholic conditions where they're not the most productive people based on the genocide that they've experienced at the hands of these Europeans who have systematically displaced and replaced the original people. And this is what is going on. This is what's happened in Argentina. And they haven't given up on this idea of trying to whiten the planet. And it cannot be done in any kind of natural, generic, natural, what's the word I'm looking for? It cannot be done in any natural or organic way, but it can be done in the way of murder, in the way of genocide, in the way of, limiting the ability of a people to grow and develop, be that physically, be that economically, be that socially. It doesn't matter. In every arena of a people's existence, they are working constantly to try to promote themselves whilst at the same time eliminating the original and the indigenous. And unfortunately, again, some of us, we're so ignorant. We think that, everybody is the same. At the start of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's little talk at the beginning that we were listening to, the minister said, he quoted the popular saying of the people, we're all the same. And the minister said, shut up. You're talking foolishness. We're not all the same. See, if we're all the same, we would all think like these people. We would want to do the same things that these people do, but we've never thought like that. We've never thought about eliminating a whole set of people from existence in order to perpetuate ourselves. I mean, think of how wicked and genocidal that mentality is. But this is how they think. This is how they think, family. Understand.
And have helped shape the country's identity. Afro-Argentine culture is an essential part of Argentina's diverse cultural heritage. Buenos Aires, which was once the center of the slave trading business, is currently admired for its clothing architecture and structural beauty. Denial of rights. From the colonial period till the 19th century...
I'm going to stop stopping it. I'm going to stop because it really speaks for itself. But again, when they're talking about known for its architecture and its this is all from Black people. Don't for 1 minute think that this Caucasian, this white man from Europe went there and built anything. All he did was go there and exploit the resources and exploit people in order to create a haven for himself. But understand on whose backs this was all done, whose labor, whose blood, whose sweat, whose tears had to be shed in order for Buenos Aires, Argentina, to be what it is today, whilst giving no credit to the people who made it the reality that it is today, family.
Afro-Argentines were considered property rather than human beings and had no legal rights. Even after slavery was abolished in 1853, Afro-Argentines faced segregation and discrimination in many areas of life. They were often excluded from schools,
faced segregation from many areas in life. Family, from all areas in life. When you dehumanize the people, but again, the way they make it sound as if, well, there were some areas where Black people could excel or whatever. No, family. This was systematic, genocidal policies that were enacted in order to destroy a people. When you see so-called Afro-Argentines today alive and trying to reassert themselves in some way in Argentina, you're looking at walking miracles. When you see the way some of us are operating in the West, in Europe, in England, and to some degree having some modicum of success as a people, that's not because the system was designed for that to happen. That's showing you the absolute genius, the magnificence of Black people, the survivability, the God factor that's with us. We have survived against the odds. We have survived against a genocidal plot to destroy us as a human reality. See, this is how you've got to appreciate what you're looking at when you're looking at Argentina today. It's not because of any beneficence and mercy. It's not because of a benevolent Caucasian.
And other public institutions, and were forced to live in separate neighborhoods. Afro-Argentines were often excluded from well-paying jobs and were forced to work in menial or low-paying occupations. They also faced discrimination in hiring and promotion. They were often excluded from political participation and had little representation in government. They were also denied the right to vote until 1912. Many Afro-Argentines lost their land and property due to discriminatory laws.
Denied the right to vote until 1912. And even when you got that vote, the vote don't mean nothing if you haven't got representation, you see. But understand again, you know, these places will be quick to claim democracy. They're democracy. No, family. These were dictatorships when it came to the way in which indigenous and original people are treated. You see? And to this very day, those original and indigenous people will have to be fighting just to be able to operate on an equal footing, equal setting as these Europeans who have imported themselves into what is primarily Black country, what is primarily brown country, what is primarily indigenous lands, and now dominated by Europeans.
So just to interject, so Lewis Muhammad says, I love Lewis Muhammad, yeah. I love being a Black man.
Formerly any right.
Yes.
Yes.
Love being a Black man, all praises due to Allah. Johnny Mitchell says, Farrakhan said, hair doesn't have a moral standard.
That's right. Good hair.
Yeah, what does hair do? That it makes it good of.
Exactly, beloved.
And Lewis Muhammad says, and when I heard the most honorable Elijah Muhammad say, we were the original people, that's so powerful, and it gave me a motivation I never had. Absolutely. Jerry Dredd says 50% to 1%. Wow.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to really understand, that, you know, you're not talking about some lightweight thing here, man. You know, to kill people on that scale, that's an industrial scale of getting rid of human beings. Go ahead.
That's right. And Lewis Muhammad says they plan. Oh no. Bawana says the problem sometimes is we choose to play along with our subordination. Second place are for people who prepare for it. So is last place and first place. Absolutely, that's a true comment.
Thank you for your comments, family. Those comments are absolutely phenomenal, powerful
practices. They were often forced off their land or had their property seized without compensation. Black people couldn't attend universities before the law got abolished in 1853. The white children had a longer number of schooling years than the black children because of racism. The 14 schools in Buenos Aires in 1857 only admitted 2 black children, although 15% of students that year were of color. They had no access to their healthcare centers. All of these resulted in their poor economic and financial status.
No access to healthcare, family. You know, it always makes me laugh. It's like when Caucasians have a little problem in their life and they have to go and get therapy. Yes. And I'm thinking about all of the trauma that has been inflicted on Black people over hundreds of years. Well, where's our therapy? Who's offered us any therapy? Where's our therapy? You see? But these people are so weak that they're constantly crying like they're the victims of some real hardship, when in reality, they haven't got a clue what real hardship is. It's very, very critically important, family, that we understand how Caucasians are like they're what's called chameleons, how they mimic and how they take on the character of those that they have destroyed as a human reality. I wanted to share with you some of Argentina's football stars that have become globally famous, starting with this Osvaldo Ardiles. He's one of the most important players in Argentina's maiden World Cup win in 1978, when they won the World Cup in 1978. And in England, he's best remembered as a cult hero after a decade at Tottenham Hotspurs. Tottenham, yeah, he played for Tottenham, and he became legendary in English football, British football, Ardiles. And, again, I don't know if we appreciate how the environment in which we live, the place where we reside, how the atmosphere, there's a reason why people have different accents in different parts of the world. And it's all to do with the atmosphere under which you live. And even people's posture, the way people move, the way people, what type of skills that people develop, it greatly depends on your environment, not just hereditary, not just in terms of your birth qualities, but also environment can shape hereditary. Just like hereditary can shape environment, it works vice versa. And so a lot of these Europeans, having gone into that environment and they've mixed with indigenous natives, what they call Indians in that region, or with the black people. And many of these Argentinians today, they got black blood. If you look at them, you'll see that they've got some of the black blood, but they pass as white, and they're classified as white, but they've got a kind of skill level in their football that makes you think, there's something about these people. And then black people, we love skills, we love talent. So then we gravitate to these people and we become supporters of these people, not understanding the history, not understanding the politics, not understanding the chameleon nature and how these people have taken part of our culture, part of our heritage, part of our way of doing things, and now they feed it back to us. You see, one of the things that upsets me greatly is how, for instance, I'm from the small island called Jamaica, and one of our greatest exports is reggae music, and part of that export is something called sound systems. And, we would construct sound systems going way back from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and play reggae music, play these vinyl records that were pressed in studio, and literally create music, family, that was so powerful and individual and iconic. And then we would play sound systems, and sometimes we would have what you might call sound clashes, where different sound systems from different parts of the island would clash and would compete with one another as to who could play the most exclusive dub record, or who could produce the best bass, and so on and so forth. And that was exported to the UK and other parts, and parts of America where Jamaicans and people from the islands went to live. But what upsets me today is when I hear that sound system now, like, who's the champion of sound systems? Japanese.
Yes.
or some other cultures have come into sound system. Chinese taken over, they've got money, so they build these sounds. They've taken the indigenous way of the Jamaicans, and they've taken that culture and that system, and they've made it their own now. And now they they compete back with the Jamaicans, and they're boxing up the Jamaicans, and they're the #1 sound system on the planet, the Japanese. I mean, I find it, because again, we don't necessarily appreciate what we have. Other people value what we have more than we value ourselves, and they take it over and then make it their own. This is the same principle involved in, what we're looking at sometimes when we're looking at some of these footballers, family, from places like Argentina, and we don't understand that it's us that have made them able to do what they've done, but in the process, they've cut out the indigenous Black aspects of this, and now they're presenting as a white European team in South America, many times beating up other teams around the world because of what they've been able to steal and because of what they've been able to manufacture based on a foundation that was built by original Black people. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. Dear family, the near total disappearance of Argentina's once thriving Black population, which made up nearly a third of Buenos Aires in the late 1700s, was not a natural decline. It resulted from a deliberate state-sponsored campaign of whitening designed to rebrand the nation as a white European-style society. The drastic erasure of Afro-Argentine identity was systematically orchestrated through several interconnected tactics. This is warfare. Afro-Argentine men were disproportionately drafted onto the front lines of brutal conflicts such as the War of Independence and the Paraguayan War, intentionally using them as expendable combatants. We were forced to fight in wars and put specifically on the front lines so that we would be decimated, destroyed, so that then the white man could have the upper hand in claiming that place called Argentina. Man, if I wish our people would wake up and understand the type of warfare that we are involved in, and that we are mostly non-combatants, just being victimized and not ever understanding the necessity to fight back. Dear family, one second, let me just have a look at something here. At the height of his fame in the 1980s, Diego Maradona was reputed to be the best player in the world, and he led Argentina to their second World Cup triumph in Mexico in 1986. Again, Maradona, when you saw that man play, he was classified as a white man, Maradona. But you see, where did he get those skills from? What climate and atmosphere did he play football in and grow up in? And that they expelled Black people from having any visibility in. Dear family, cholera and yellow fever outbreaks in the 1860s and 1871 heavily targeted the poorest districts where Black communities were forced to live under inadequate, segregated conditions. The massive influx of millions of European immigrants, largely from Italy and Spain, actively subsidized by the government, combined with interracial mixing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that interracial mixing. See, because this is where Maradona and these come from, but then they see themselves as white, just like some of these Arabs who are mixed with us. But they because they got a little less Black in them, they literally think that they're white people and identify with white people and discriminate against Black people. With interracial mixing was utilized to culturally dilute Black identity. Leaders like former President Domingo Faustino Sarmiento instituted policies to stop counting Black citizens in the census. Imagine, That was a government policy to stop counting black people in the census. But you don't just stop counting black people in the census. You stop counting black people when you've determined that you're going to eliminate black people, essentially erasing them from official statistics and national consciousness. This was a deliberate policy of the government to eliminate black people from the consciousness of Argentina. I hope you're following, family.
What led to the decline of the Afro-Argentines population? The Afro-Argentine population began to decline in the late 19th and early 20th centuries due to a combination of various factors. One of the main factors is the abolishment of slavery in Argentina in 1813. This led to a gradual decrease in the number of enslaved Africans and Afro-descendants. Its decrease was a result of an absence of a legal mechanism for importing.
This is such a lie. They're trying to imply that it was just basically because slavery was abolished and they wasn't able to import more black people, that slavery, that the population of blacks declined. No, family, no. One thing that these Europeans always did was they would literally breed enslaved people to repopulate their plantations, and then they would have fresh children being born that would be born into slavery and be perpetual enslaved people for the duration of their short lives, because they'd be worked to death on these plantations, in these plantations. Do you understand? It wasn't because of the abolishment of our enslavement that our population declined. It was because of the genocidal mentality of the Europeans, because they had a determined idea to get rid of the black population, especially when they could no longer legally enslave us, because, you know, again, remember everything that Adolf Hitler did in Germany from the early 1930s right through to his, Second World War was legal. It was done legally. They framed law to make mischief. That's actually, you can find that in your scriptures as well. They framed the law to make mischief.
New African slaves into the country, hence limiting the growth of the Afro-Argentine population. The Afro-Argentines and Argentines' War also reduced the black population. A war broke out in 1810, and the Argentines fought for their independence. In 1816, they finally got their independence from Spain. However, the black men who were slaves during the war were forced to fight at the battlefronts. This led to a large death casualty of the black population. They might have assisted in fighting for independence, but the Argentines also used it as a way of reducing the population of blacks in their country.
And just that language, they might have fought for the independence, but the Argentines, so talking about black people like they weren't part of Argentina, and that the only real Argentines are white people. No, family. Black people are as much Argentines as those white Europeans, in fact, more so, because they're the ones who built the country, more so because they're the ones who fought for independence and won the independence, you see? But just that talk whereby now, you know, blacks are like some separate entity that basically is slaves, and the real Argentines are Caucasians. Just think about the language, family. Let me just go back a little bit so that you can listen to that language.
But the Argentines also used it as a way of reducing the population of blacks in their country. Maria Remedios del Val was one of the notable slave soldiers who fought during the war, alongside her husband and children.
Slave soldiers. See, these are the black people who fought in these wars and won the wars, defeated the Spanish Empire. Do you understand? just like those black people in Haiti, Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines, and who defeated Napoleon's armies. You see, it's always us, family, who are the people who bore the brunt of these conflicts in order to free these countries from these other colonial masters. And then other colonial masters who were enslaving us just basically just took the prize. You know, when we won gains during civil rights, white women benefited, Jews benefited, all these other so-called minorities benefited, but the black people were still at the back of the line, still the ones who benefited the least when we were the ones who sacrificed the most. This is how we got to understand this. Talking about this sister as a slave soldier with her family when she lost everything, including her husband and her child, fighting for the independence of Argentina.
Remedios del Val was one of the notable slave soldiers who fought during the war, alongside her husband and children. She fought in several battles and was known as Madre de la Patria, meaning Mother of the Nation, for her bravery and dedication to the cause. However, she lost her...
The Mother of the Nation for her dedication to the cause. You see, we just lost the Mother of the Nation. Understand that you don't get these titles because you're some slave. No, you get that because you are an absolute soldier, warrior, a female. But she was so magnificent that she's gone down in history in Argentina as the mother of the nation. But who knows this? Who knows this? Very few people know these things about the role that black people played in creating Argentina.
Husband and son in the war and died of poverty in 1847. Another notable slave is Jacinto Ventura de Molina. In 1773, he was born into slavery in Buenos Aires and fought in the Wars of Independence. He was wounded in the Battle of Salta in 1813 and died shortly after from his injuries.
Oh, brothers and sisters, I just, you know, I must admit, I do despair sometimes when I see us as a people displaying ignorance when it comes to certain contemporary things that we do. Now we got Lionel Messi. Messi led Argentina to the Copa America title in 2021 and the World Cup in Qatar in 2022, finishing the tournaments and being hailed as arguably the best player in the world, Messi. And he is Messi. He's got really, I mean, to me, he's proper Caucasian. But he's got skills, see, because again, he's in that region, he's in that area, he's in that South America, where the atmosphere breeds a certain skill level, and he's been exposed to that. And so they start to, like a chameleon, they start to manifest the skill set of the indigenous. I mean, I'm telling you, man, this thing is deep, family. You see, white people, they hang around with us, and all of a sudden, you see that they can dance like us. They can do what we do if they hang around enough with enough indigenous and original people, family. Don't think that this stuff don't rub off. So, while the myth of an all-white Argentina became embedded in global culture, the descendants of these populations survive. Yeah, we survive. That's what we do. Somebody in the chat said that we survive. That's what we do, man. We're phenomenal people. We're awesome. See, we survive, man. Today, modern Afro-Argentine communities and researchers are actively pushing to restore and reclaim their hidden history. This is what's happening in Argentina today. In a striking metamorphosis, Argentina has become synonymous with whiteness in South America. The country reported a mere, listen to this, the country reported a mere 0.365% of its population as Afro-Argentine. 0.365% of its population as Afro-Argentine in the 2010 census. Less than 2 centuries ago, however, the landscape was starkly different, with Black individuals constituting over a third of the population in the year 1800. And I'm telling you, we were more than a third. If you remember earlier, statistics said we were at least half the population. See? And Europeans were 0 point something percent. But now they want to claim Argentina to be basically a white European country in South America. My goodness. Dear family, today many Argentinians hold the erroneous belief that Argentina neither participated in the slave trade nor witnessed the presence of Afro-Argentinians. I mean, and again, you know, man, I'm telling you, you'd be surprised what these people are trying to do when you see the type of wickedness that's currently going on in the Middle East. Do you understand that from the perspective of Europeans, they think that what has been going on in the Middle East recently, that somehow they're going to be able to push that under the carpet and people are going to forget about it and not realize what has been done, what America has done, what Israel has done, what is being done to the Palestinians. Somehow they think and they hope and they're maneuvering and they're planning to try to bury the reality of what they do. And this is what they do. This is what they did in Australia. This is what they did in New Zealand. And now these places, most of us, we think of these places being these wonderful places, you know, that, oh, I'd just love to go and visit, you know, and maybe we might see a few native people on the side of the road selling some little trinkets or something. And we think that somehow that's natural. But these people have been destroyed. These people have been genocided in order for these Europeans to now hold sway and control the economics and control the resources and control these vast territories, these countries that they have stolen. This is what they plan for the planet going forward. And don't think that they've given up on these ideas of colonization and destruction of the natives and the original people. They haven't. They've still got that idea in their heads for Africa, man. Understand? Dear family, such misconceptions persist despite the historical evidence to the contrary. Former Argentine President Carlos Menem once shockingly declared, in Argentina, blacks do not exist. That is a Brazilian problem. This is a former president of Argentina, Carlos Menem, who declared, quote, in Argentina, blacks do not exist. That is a Brazilian problem. See, that's how they view Brazil. Because, you know, outside of Africa, the largest population of black people in the Western Hemisphere are in Brazil. Something like 80 million plus black people live in Brazil, family. And according to this Carlos Menem, the former president of Argentina, Brazil is a problem because it's got all these black people.
That's why they try and kill them, isn't it?
No, for real. They kill the Brazilian children. Little children
living underground,
living on the streets, and then they're murdered in the night by adults, by police, by paramilitaries, killing children because they're trying to eliminate them. And it's a problem, all of these blacks in South America, from the perspective of these wicked Caucasian demons. And this man was so bold, he could say, well, we don't have no blacks in Argentina because we've gotten rid of them. My God. Dear family, the prevalent perception both within and beyond Argentina is that of a predominantly white European society. That's what they believe Argentina is today. Buenos Aires, the nation's capital, often earns the moniker, in other words, the name Paris of Latin America. See, that's what they're trying to create. Europe in South America, Paris of Latin America. In popular culture, however, this image is a product of the ugly racism that systematically erased African Argentines from the nation's fabric. Look at our Black brothers and sisters, little children, Argentinian children. This is how, they've been forced to live in like ghettoized systems and poverty. This is how they like to reduce Black people. This is how they like to see us. This is the existence that we're supposed to have among them whilst living with them, which is why, again, in the Nation of Islam, what do we say? Separation, man.
That's the only solution.
But some of us don't want to separate. We think, oh, how can we...
In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the government made a call for European immigrants, and this caused an increase in the number of white people due to the Europeans who migrated. With more European immigrants in our...
I know you didn't hear that, so I'm gonna play it again.
In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the government made a call for European immigrants, and this caused an increase in the number of white people due to the Europeans who migrated. With more European immigrants in Argentina, the prospects for a whiter country were achieved. Due to interracial marriages, a new mixed race was created, and this kept reducing the Black skin color. The European immigrants affected the labor market, with former slaves and their descendants facing increased competition for employment. There was a rise in economic competition, combined with racial prejudice and discrimination.
Rise in competition. There's no competition, family. Black people were disallowed to participate in the labor market, in that workforce, in that economic climate. No, this was an economic system created to benefit white people and to disenfranchise and disinherit Black people. That's what it's about. Racism, total and utter displacement and discrimination and genocide. See? And this race mixing, understand what happened, family. See, and understand what the plan is going forward for many of our communities. They decimate the Black men. They destroy the Black men. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, when he was speaking earlier, touched on the feminization of the Black man. How many of us now have become homosexual? How many of us now are incarcerated? How many of us now are going down this route where we are no longer manly, where the Black man is being systematically destroyed, and through the chemicalization of the food and the water, whatever, he's been emasculated. The sperm count is reduced. The penis size is reduced, all kinds of stuff because of estrogen that's been pumped into the water system. And the feminization of the Black man is real, man. These young boys now, you see them, they're effeminate. They're weak. They can't fight. So now you see them fighting, they're throwing hands like they literally traditionally what you would say like a girl. See? So now they have to resort to guns and knives and weapons because they can't fight. Even the dress code, the way they dress with all this sagging, they can't even lift a leg to kick somebody if they wanted to. They couldn't run and jump and do a flying kick into the head of a man or nothing like that because they haven't got that capacity. They've been disabled. They've been made so feminine that they're useless now to the woman. And then when that happens, what happens is that the white man moves in and takes our women. And that's what happened in Argentina. The Black woman became booty, see, because the spoils of war is booty. And they take over and they take our women impregnate her and feed her their mentality, and the babies have fed that mentality, and more and more and more there's this whitening process taking place. And then the children, when they're born, they don't want to be with no black person. So then those children marry on to another white person, and so on and so forth. And eventually there is the whitening of the country, the society.
Yaku.
That's how it works. This is what happened in the Middle East. All of those, the original Arabs were all black, blacker than me, blue black. But now you see all these white Arabs because of, again, race mixing. But the way they talk about it sounds like, oh, it was just a natural, the black woman with the white. But no, it's not natural, family. It's forced. It's like it starts off as rape. And then eventually the rapist rapes so much that rape becomes natural, it becomes normalized. And before you know it, those women, you know, I mean, what they call it, Stockholm syndrome, where you literally fall in love with your captor, you fall in love with the rapist. I mean, honestly, family, this thing is deep, man. It's horrible.
Deteriorating health conditions was another major factor that led to their decrease in population. In 1864 and 1871, the Afro-Argentines lost a higher percentage of their population to cholera and the yellow fever epidemic, respectively. Many Afro-Argentines lived in precarious conditions, with limited access to basic services such as clean water and sanitation. Moreover, they faced
limited access to basic services. No access. This is what these people see. You know, segregation. It's like, again, people don't understand what segregation meant. You see, like in South Africa, where you couldn't drink from certain taps. They're for reserved for white people. You couldn't go to use certain toilets or restrooms or whatever. You couldn't. Everything was ghettoized and really horrible and the worst and contaminated and, you know, disease ridden. That's how we were forced to live, so that we died literally like vermin. We died like flies, because there was no, it was a two-tier society. See, there was no equal footing. That's what you got to understand. This, you know, this little sanitized narration, you know, like, oh, there was a little bit of deprivation. No, family. We weren't allowed nothing. Nothing. Look at what's going on right now in Gaza. People are allowed nothing.
And that's what you find in the areas where poorer black people live. They have the worst water.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
have the worst food.
That's what I'm saying.
It still goes on.
You know, did you know that a lot of the black communities in North America, they're called food deserts? Because there's no, I mean, I've been there, man. I've been, you know, we go Savior's Day for many, many years. And when we would arrive, we couldn't find anything to eat. We couldn't find anything that we could eat. Because the food was that terrible, it was that bad. And thank God there was one shop, Your Produce. Some black brothers and sisters from the nation had a supermarket called Your Produce. That was like an oasis in a desert. It was a lifesaver for us, where we could pick up a bean pie and get some natural food, some food that was actually recognizable, fruit. But mostly in Chicago, when we would go looking for food in New York, it was a food desert. There was no food. We was finding blue-colored drinks in the shops. I remember one shop we went into, and we asked the man for vegetarian cheese. And the brother looked at us like we was crazy. The brother said, man, cheese come from cows. I said, yeah, brother, but you know, the Rene, you know, like the Rene, they put animal produce in it, you know, pork, all kinds of stuff. He didn't understand what we was looking for at all. You see, plant-based, we was looking for. He didn't understand it. There's no such thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going into these supermarkets and there was a massive drum full of sweets by the door. And everybody who came in just would take sweets and just eat. And I'm thinking, wow. And then I saw these people, man, big brothers and sisters, huge legs and bodies. I said, my God, terrible food, family. This is how you got to understand what happened to our Argentine brothers and sisters.
Discrimination and social exclusion, which limited their access to medical care and other resources that could help them prevent or treat the disease. They often had to rely on traditional medicine and home remedies, which were not always effective in treating the disease. This led to most of their deaths. The whitening cream and interracial marriages. As a result of the loss of black men in the 1810 war and the diseases, black women became the larger part of the Afro-Argentine population. This largely contributed to the rise of
Look at this white man's face.
Look how he's got his arm
Look
around
at the way he's holding the black woman. If you really think that's a natural relationship, that's property. That's my possession.
He looks like he's got her in the
That looks
jiu-jitsu lot.
wicked, man. But this is what happened. After the black man is decimated, destroyed, imprisoned, lynched, and all the other factors, then our women become booty. Our women become prey. Our women become the vehicle by which these people can then perpetuate themselves by bringing children through the womb of the black woman who are going to be ultimately upholding and building, continuing to build this European construct in South America.
Racial marriages in Argentina. There were few black men, so the black women were left with two choices: to get married to an Argentinian man or contest for the few African men who were still alive.
You hear that language again? To get married to an Argentinian man or to the few black men that was, no, to get married to a white man, not an Argentinian man, a white man. See, these are Europeans, but they're claiming Argentina like it's theirs. So the indigenous people, the original people have got no place in Argentina because this is now, they're now the Argentinians. My God. So you go South Africa, you listen to these white South Africans, because they named it South Africa, you see? So as far as they're concerned, they're the real South Africans. And these black people, these are interlopers. These are, as far as they're concerned, the black people are the real foreigners, which is how they've got black people now to believe that other black people are foreigners and they're chasing them out. But you don't see them trying to chase the whites out because the whites are seen as South Africans. My God, we're so dumb, so ignorant, some of us.
To an Argentinian man or contest for the few African men who were still alive. Most of the women chose the first option, while some chose the latter. These Afro-Argentines sought interracial marriages to climb up the social ladder because they felt they had no other alternative in the face of discrimination they got. To have a better life and enjoy citizenship rights, they had to opt for an option to make their offspring white. The new generation of people born from interracial marriages were referred to as the non-whites, which was a superficial term that embodied the government's denial of its racial diversity. If Argentina's current population were to be studied, it would be noticed that the non-whites population is higher than both the pure blacks and the whites population.
See, the so-called mixed race. And then, unfortunately, many of these mixed race people, they adopt this mentality that they're better than their indigenous or original family and lean more to the white because the white is that which is creating the economic climate whereby these people who are so-called mixed or light-skinned or whatever, they're favored in the society, in the system, because again, going back to colorism, this is how they do it. See, if you go back to the Willie Lynch, you'll see how people were divided based on color, based on height, based on race, based on gender, based on whether they lived on a hill or lived in the valley, etc., etc. These are all part of the technology that was used and employed against the people. Their family, the roots of this enigma trace back to the 16th century when the Spanish colonized Argentina. In this period, Spain relied heavily on enslaved Africans. Africans first set foot in Rio de la Plata, encompassing present-day Buenos Aires. See? Africans first set foot in Rio de la Plata, encompassing present-day Buenos Aires. In other words, Buenos Aires didn't exist. See, when Africans first set foot there was no such thing as Buenos Aires. That's all come about as a result of our labor, enslaved labor that built these places, family. But you got to understand how the language is tricky. During the late 16th century, by the late 18th and early 19th centuries, Black Africans constituted up to half the population in some provinces. Slavery, albeit officially abolished in 1813, persisted unofficially until the early 1850s. Coincidentally, this period marked the start of a precipitous decline in Argentina's Black population. Imagine being a Black man in 2026 waving a Argentine flag. Dear family, the sudden and profound disappearance of Black Africans from Argentina is attributed to a confluence of factors. The first is the war against Paraguay, spanning from 1865 to 1870. Thousands of Black individuals fought in the military during these conflicts and other wars, resulting in significant losses. The fatalities led to a considerable gender gap. Black men died while Black women lived. It's in the scriptures, it's codified. Let us deal wisely with them. See? Kill the male, spare the female. This considerable gender gap within the African population, this prompted unions between Black women and white men, effectively diluting the Black populace. In addition, many Afro-Argentines sought refuge in more welcoming political climates in neighboring Brazil and Uruguay. This is how Argentina comes to be the way it is today, family. Deliberate.
Interracial marriages functioned like a whitening cream. Accompanied by the whitening was a loss in their Black identity, not just in genetic makeup and skin color, but in consciousness as well. About 90% of the people in Argentina today, who are identified to be white, is proof that many Argentines are ignorant of their ancestry to the extent that they really can't tell if they are indeed white, or they are descendants of Afro-Argentines. All of these factors contributed to the...
you understand that, family. I don't have to break that down, yeah? A lot of these people, they've got Black now in their genes coming, but they see themselves as white. So they perpetuate this white supremacist idea and European mentality in Argentina because they're so ignorant as to the reality of how they've come to be the way they are. See? And if you look at many of these who claim to be white, you can see there's some color there, there's something there. But they're ignorant today.
Marginalization and eventual disappearance of the Afro-Argentine community. Today, Afro-Argentines make up a very small percentage of the overall population, estimated to be around 1% or less, and their cultural and historical contributions to Argentina are often overlooked and underrepresented. Afro-Argentines today. The masked ethical demarcation that has assured Argentina's erasure of its Black history is astounding. As the lives of Afro-Argentines were lost, the Black knowledge and the Black accounts also got lost in history. In recent times, due to the effect of the re-emergence of the black community in the 20th century, the Afro-Argentines continually fought to bring back their histories by telling their stories to people. They have also created black associations such.
And I got to tell you, family, you know, I mean, I know for many of us, we think, yeah, black people, we dance look, man, see, the white people, they love to have us just dance, play drums, you know, do a bit of singing for them during a carnival or something like that. And this is what we think is black culture. This is what we've been reduced to, being like street entertainers for others. You see, whilst they take the economy, the money, the resources, the agriculture, the finances, they control the levers of power while they have us playing music or dancing, jigging around. And somehow we think that this is, you know, the totality of our culture. No, family, we're far bigger, far greater than what we've been currently reduced to.
Is the Grupo Cultural Afro, SOS Racismo, and most importantly, the Africa Viva group, which was innovated by Paca La Madrid. These groups have helped to revitalize people's interest in the African heritage of Argentina. There are also the Afro, Uruguayan, and Afro-Brazilian settlers who helped to expand the African culture in Argentina.
Yeah. So even though, you know, from the perspective of the European, yeah, they've got their European enclave in South America. See, I say again, we don't die, we multiply. So you see a resurgence. Africans are coming back. Africans are asserting themselves again. Black people asserting themselves in Argentina because we are an indestructible people, family. This is what we've got to understand about our nature and the character of the original man and woman. Another devastating factor was the outbreak of yellow fever in Buenos Aires in 1871, which claimed the lives of numerous locals. However, many sources point to a far darker and more sinister force at work, a covert genocide orchestrated by Domingo Faustino Sarmiento, who served as Argentina's president from 1868 to 1874 and played a pivotal role in decimating the Afro-Argentine population. Sarmiento staunchly advocated for white European racial purity. These are Nazis. These are Nazis, and went to great length to eliminate Afro-Argentines. See, this is the truth, family. This wasn't some coincidental, accidental thing that happened to black people in Argentina. This was systematic and planned. He even devalued the mixed race Argentine cowboys known as gauchos, likening them to fertilizer. Sarmiento's diary entry in 1848, including the chilling statement, in the United States, 4 million are black, and within 20 years will be 8 million. What is to be done with such blacks? This is how these people are, man. Hated by the white race. This was his sentiments about black people in America and in Argentina. This says how Argentina erased this black population. I mean, why would we want to celebrate a nation like that? Why would we give a nation like that any credit whatsoever when it comes to them, you know, being involved in sport and play and thinking that black people don't know the reality of how they've come to be what they are today? Dear family, slavery is this is continuing the quote from that former president. It says, slavery is I don't even know what this means. It says, slavery is a parasite that the vegetation of English colonization has left attached to the leafy tree of freedom. Just talking pure nonsense. Dear family, during his presidency, Sarmiento instigated a systematic erasure of the African presence in Argentina through policy decisions that were harmful to Black lives. He segregated the Black community from their European counterparts, condemning them to inadequate infrastructure and healthcare, which facilitated their deaths during cholera and yellow fever outbreaks. See, before when it was mentioned about cholera and yellow fever, like, oh, these are like incidental. No, you see how this was part of a programmatic process of killing Black people. Additionally, he forcibly recruited Afro-Argentines into the military, imprisoned them on minor or fabricated charges, and orchestrated mass executions. These are people fighting for Argentina, and he is manufacturing fake charges and then instituting mass executions of Black people within their military. I mean, man, the culmination of these repressive policies, coupled with disease outbreaks and ongoing conflicts, nearly eradicated the Black population by 1875 to the extent that the government failed to register African descendants in the national census. The hidden Black history of Argentina revealed. Argentina buried Black history. Dear family, we are almost at the end.
On 9 October 2006, the Forum of African Descent and Africans in Argentina was created to promote its social and artistic pluralism, a fight against the demarcation of the Black population in the country. The National Institute Against Demarcation, INADI, is the public body that is responsible for combating demarcation and racism. In 2021, the Argentine government created a community, which is known as the Afro-Argentine Community Federal Advisory Council. The community comprises prominent Afro-Argentine activists and scholars. A memorable feat was achieved when November 8 was assigned by the Argentine legislation to celebrate Maria Remedios del Val, the female Afro-Argentine soldier who fought for Argentina during the Argentine War of Independence in the 1800th century. Since 2013, November 8 has officially been pertained to as the public day of the Afro-Argentines, and its African culture has served as a day when Argentina revisits and celebrates its roots. But yet, the question of whether Argentina is truly a white country or not continues to persist. This question does not fit into a black or white structure, but one thing is certain. White Argentina found it quite difficult to completely eradicate the Black Argentines in its libraries, which is a good thing, most especially for the Afro-Argentines who had bravely fought for the country's freedom.
See, they've tried everything to eliminate Black people in Argentina, but they can't do it. That's what you got to understand. See, you don't really appreciate how some people in high places dream, they literally dream of eradicating, getting rid of Black people, but all they can do is dream on, man. And they're in their laboratories trying to think up new ways, new foods, new drinks, new substances that they can introduce into our populations to decimate us. Family, none of it works. But it doesn't mean that we should be careless in our consumption of these things that they put in front of us. We gotta take care of business, man. We gotta unite. We gotta come together and do something for ourselves. You see, because this is our time. The future belongs to the original indigenous people of our planet. Dear family, in contemporary Argentina, the physical and metaphorical erasure of Afro-Argentines has left an indelible mark on the nation's identity and history. Some Argentines even believe that their country never participated in the slave trade, a form of cultural amnesia that negates the inconvenient Black presence in Argentina. Even the tango, you know that famous dance, the tango? Even the tango, Argentina's most celebrated cultural export, has been stripped of its historical connection to Black Argentines. The early dance-related art reveals African roots stemming from the former kingdom of Congo. This extensive erasure, encompassing historical, physical, and cultural dimensions, is deemed a triumph by governmental leaders who have perpetuated the vision of Argentina as an all-white extension of Western Europe in Latin America. This is the plan, family, not just for Argentina, for many, many places on our planet. And we mustn't fall for it.
That's right.
See, this says the Black History Truth, Argentina. And see there, it says there are no Black people here. That's a quote from that former president of Argentina. So, dear family, I hope we got it. I hope that we learned something again new this evening from this presentation, because it's really, really important that you and I are no longer ignorant to certain realities, that when certain things come up in our face, this World Cup has come. Once again, Argentina, is in there, one of the teams competing for the World Cup. We should know their history. We should know where they're coming from. We should know what we should support and what we shouldn't support, what we should literally boycott. And so based on what has been done to our Black brothers and sisters in Argentina, both historically and continuing today, after learning the truth, any Black man or woman, not Afro-Argentinian, see, because the Afro-Argentinians who are there in that country belongs to them. So you can almost understand them wanting to support the team, even though there's no Black people in the team. Ultimately, they're going to take it back, and there will be Black people once again in the forefront of all of the different walks of life. So we can't blame Black Afro-Argentinians for supporting that country. But certainly those of us who are outside of that country and know better, know, beloved, we should not be supporting that team or that country in their endeavors. We support the Black people who are there. We support the Black Argentinians. You see, any Black man or woman, not Afro-Argentinian, claiming to be a supporter of Argentina in any capacity, make him or herself a traitor to the global Black nation and should be condemned and ostracized for such sick behavior. I hope you get it, family. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity, myself and Sister Claudia, for coming to you and sharing with you one more little brief lesson, this time dealing with, this ignorant support of Argentina. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. But I was going to say that's how they are in the UK. They're supporting the British teams. It's all the same around the world.
It's ridiculous when I see Black people,
England
cloaked in the Union Jack or the Cross of St. George and going crazy over the English team. And of course, we've got lots of Black players in there.
Yeah, but
I think almost all of the French team is Black. I mean, it's ridiculous. And that's the other thing, a lot of people now watching the World Cup, they're wondering, well, what's going on? How comes Africans basically dominate the World Cup? Everywhere you look, there's these African and Black players in all of these European teams, you see, because they can't do nothing without us, family. If we're not in there, the team is rubbish. It's time to take over.
That's right.
It's time to take over. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. All praises due to Allah. Thank you very much for that. I learned a lot this evening.
Praise be to Allah.
I think I read that they have a special celebration for our sister on November the 8th.
That's right. That's right. In Argentina, yes. The mother of the nation.
Yes. So family, on that note, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you very much for your comments. And we do actually read all your comments. Thank you for taking your time. Don't forget to subscribe to the Final Call newspaper, the only newspaper that is unbought and uncompromised. And this edition, you should definitely get it. It's got our Mother of the Faithful, Mother Khadija Farrakhan, and the front copy, a beautiful picture. And love some really good information about our mother. So don't forget to subscribe to the Final Call newspaper. Don't forget, tune in to the Final Call radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Keep feeding your mind on God's words. This is how we grow and change, by feeding on right guidance. And also don't forget to tune into NOI.org every Sunday. Last week's lecture is fantastic by student minister Ishmael Muhammad, The Coming of God. And you can rewatch that on media.noi.org. And on that note, thank you very much for tuning in.
Praise be to Allah.
And also, just to say, it wasn't, many of us didn't fast last week, a 3-day fast, because of the Janazah and everything, and Independence Day, because we celebrate that as a family day, our own independence. So feel free to fast this weekend or whenever you want.
Absolutely. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. On that
Thank
note,
you, beloved.
take care. Have a blessed day, evening, or wherever you are on the planet Earth. Take care, stay strong. We are of the righteous, although we may not think we are. Allah, God, in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, has come for us through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Take care, stay strong. Assalamu alaikum.
Stay blessed.